Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Zaleski Sports Show. Jason Zaleski here. Dan Ross is right there. We are on Main Street in Stevens Point. Come down and see us. On today's show, we will talk about our upcoming broadcast schedule. We will rewind. How do people say unpack? I don't like that term. We will rewind last week, our Christmas events. We've got boys and girls basketball rankings that we'll talk about. And, of course, the Merriwood Minute.
Yeah, it's all yours, and it's all now.
All right, here we go. We're back, ready for action.
And we're back.
And we're back.
I actually said that 2 weeks ago or something, and I just started laughing when I said it.
I got to play it for you. He really got into that part. Really, that's the only, I know I told you this, but it's the only reason he even signed up to be there, just so he could say, and we're back. But I can't even say it like he did. He said it so corny, so cliche. And I can't say it like I say corny, cliche things, I'm sure, all the time, but that I can't get those words out of my mouth. But he was an expert at it. And we're back. You can just imagine what it sounds like, I guess.
So many people out there have never sat in that spot where you get the finger point from your producer.
Yeah.
And you have to say something.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So it's been a couple weeks since we've been here. It was pre-Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Last time Dan and I were sitting here.
The last time we were at a tavern. We were at
Oh, that's right. We were at Skeeter Notices, which I get to go back to today because it's Lasagna Day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and so word to the wise, if you're ever able to get to Hewitt, Wisconsin, just east of Marshfield, for the next couple of months, except for the one day Dan and I went there, next couple of months, Lasagna Wednesday. Check on Facebook, go to Skeeter Notices Village Inn on Facebook for all your local listings. That menu can and obviously does change. Dan and I had some great burgers that night.
It was good.
But the thing that started now is if you give Skeeter or Otis a 9x13 baking pan during the week, on Wednesday, you go back and pick it up and it's full of lasagna. It's take and bake lasagna.
Good to know.
Isn't that something?
It's really
so
good.
You could do that, Dan, and then you've got it for the whole week or whatever.
Yeah.
So I've got a pan of lasagna I'm picking up on the way home.
That's fantastic.
And you can also get it cooked there as well. They
stuff.
just, like regular dinner service. Skeeter Notices Village Inn of Hewitt. There we go.
It was fun.
It was great. That was our last show.
Yeah.
Okay.
2 weeks ago.
All right. Very good. Well, we've had a lot going on since then. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. It is 2024. I sure hope I set the date right on our show description today. People get riled up about that kind of stuff. Oh, you got the date wrong. Happy New Year, everybody. So we spent, as a company, the better part of last week entertaining you all from locations all across the state, including Eau Claire, Stratford, Mequon. I know we were in Loyal, we were in Auburndale, Wapaka, just everywhere. Entertaining everybody with post-Christmas basketball events, and it was a great time. We learned a lot. I happened to spend the majority of my time in Mequon, where I got to see some of the finest high school basketball on display in the entire state. And I'm just going to tell you, at home watching right now, I'm not sure how I can come back now to central Wisconsin and continue watching basketball, because that was on a really high display there. But we were very fortunate, very grateful for those opportunities. We got to meet a couple of new friends, Matt and Elijah, who are going to carry Zaleski Sports boys basketball games this winter in the Milwaukee area.
Oh, breaking news.
It is breaking news. First game will be Tuesday, St. Thomas More and Whitnall. That's how we're going to create it with a effing bang in Milwaukee.
Love it.
Wow, huh? Two
Very
ranked
good.
teams going at it, and two of, Whitnall, a Division III state champion, defending state champ, Whitnall. And we're very excited. Megan, the athletic director, she was like, oh my gosh, you guys are coming here. That's crazy. We've never had this before, and we're so excited for you to be here. So that's a cool response
awesome.
to get.
Yeah, that's great.
It's the response that we're looking for, and I'm just going to leave it at that.
It's not always that way.
It's not.
You would think that all these gyms would want us there. And sometimes they do everything they can to block us from coming.
There was one single event last week that said no thanks. It was the craziest thing ever. But we were very happy to be everywhere else in Wisconsin last week. And we're very happy to be in Whitnall next week. And all kinds of good stuff. Matt and Elijah are going to put on a show for the rest of the winter in the Milwaukee area. We're very much looking forward to it. So yeah, I guess that's breaking news.
It is. It's good.
People here might have known that, but everybody out there knows it now too. Zaleski Sports in Milwaukee.
Yeah, you're franchising.
Whew. Something like that.
Sort of.
Something like that. Okay, there you go. Let's talk about some basketball rankings. New rankings are fresh off the supercomputer.
Saw them.
Came out yesterday. Zaleski Sports VIPs. Again, you go to zaleskisports.com, and VIPs get to see these rankings at your leisure, as they say in other parts of the world, at your leisure around here. Along with deep dives into these things, we're going to take a more glossary look at the rankings today. And if you want more, zaleskisports.com, click VIP. It's $5 a month. You all already know that. Hundreds of you have already subscribed to it.
You know what's crazy?
What's that?
I believe that the girls' brackets are at least 5 weeks away.
We're just talking about that earlier
just under
today.
5 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, it's right around the corner. We will on VIPs. We'll get to see bracket projections coming in just a few weeks.
Crazy.
Just a few weeks. That's what these rankings are based on. They are not an opinion poll. They are a mathematical fact. And these rankings were calculated through games played Sunday. So through games played in 2023.
Yeah.
Games in 2024 will not be included until next week.
Yeah, and there's enough games, especially on the girls' side.
Now there are.
Which I see you pulled up.
Yep.
Where the rankings aren't going to change a ton. Like, teams will still move up a couple spots here and there. Especially if you lose, you'll drop like you should. But no longer will teams jump up 12 spots after a game. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, because you go from 3-0 to 4-0, and it's such a huge difference. Now you go from 12 games played to 13 games played. You're halfway through the season.
Yep.
And at this point, you are what you are.
It's true.
If you want to crown them, then crown their behind.
Yeah, and
Denny Green.
For those that aren't behind the scenes or coaching teams, January is an interesting month because at some point, half the team will get sick. You play 2-3 nights a week. You get to practice once, maybe twice. You get club volleyball. They always have girls that have to leave for if you want them to be dual sport athletes. There's just a lot of complications. When you're coaching, it's tough because especially the second, third week, it is a grind. It's a job. It's a job for the coaches, job for the kids. Not to mention homework and semester exams are coming up. And
yet, Dan, through it all, your playoff seeding is generally cemented in January.
Yeah.
Generally.
Yeah, you can move up a seed or something, but
you'll play the bulk of your games, right? If you put your games on a pie chart, most are going to happen during January.
Yep. Yeah.
Is the way it turns out. So, all right. Well, thanks for that, Dan. That's I think a happy sentiment you share.
Yeah. It is really intense, right? And especially for players.
Yeah.
They don't even really know who they're playing against, right? Because you're running your stuff, you're running your defense. The coaches are telling you who the top players of the other team are, but they're barely listening, right? Like, hey, their top scorer is number 21. We got to stop him or her. All right, well, here we go. Let's go.
Yeah, there's a lot of socialness to a young teenager's life, and that is circulating through their minds during practice in the games. In January, there will also be finals as you change semester. Most schools will change semester. By the way, these kids we're talking about, their number one primary activity is school, it turns out.
Yep.
Tough for me to understand that. But this is, their athletic events are because of school.
Yeah.
They don't do them without going to school first.
It's true. And a lot of these games, conference games, the second time through. So teams are making adjustments. You're getting better. Sometimes the teams are completely different than the first time you saw them. And it's really hard to motivate kids sometimes, especially as you go deeper into the season. These athletes have relationships, whether it's boyfriends, girlfriends, friends in school. There's so much, and it just kind of bubbles up. And at a certain point, and usually it happens late January, you just throw your hands up in the air and said, yeah, we're going to go and play a game tonight.
It turns out. Gonna blow the horn here in 5 minutes. We got a game to go play.
Yeah.
All right, girls basketball rankings on ZaleskiSports.com. Again, not an opinion poll. These are mathematical fact. So best of luck if you want to argue math. Good luck to you.
I bet you Arrowhead's still number one.
Arrowhead is the number one team in Division I, followed by Oregon, Verona, Neenah, Muskego, Kimberly, Brookfield East, Hortonville, Kettle Moraine, Eau Claire Memorial. Again, these are games played in 2023 only. Of course, you all know that in overtime last night, Hortonville beat Neenah on the road in Neenah. Now, when you're in the Fox Valley, is anything really on the road? But you were in somebody else's home gym. Rainey Wilson was our Zaleski Sports Highlight House Player of the Game. Highlights are on Facebook at Zaleski Sports and Zaleski Sports Wisconsin. So these games were played through last week. Last night's game isn't taken into account on these rankings, although it will be next week. Head-to-head matchups, though, don't matter as much as your book of work. So
Really not at all.
Really not at all, right? It counts as one game played, one win in the whole scheme of things. But Hortonville number 8, Hortonville did take down number 4, Neenah girls basketball last night. It was quite a game. Highlights, again, are on Facebook. Go watch them as soon as this show is done, which will be in about 50 minutes. We move to Division 2. Not taking any questions today, Dan. No audience questions today.
Does the audience usually have questions?
Every now and then they do. We'll take them later. In Division 2 girls basketball, Pewaukee, Menominee, Beaver Dam, West De Pere, Rice Lake, McFarland, New London, Whitefish Bay, Wauwatosa East, and Monona Grove. Dan, it wasn't that long ago, Wauwatosa East, one of the worst teams in the state, just in their division.
Yeah.
And they have formed into a top 10 team here in 2023-24. In Division 3, Catholic Memorial, Elk Mound, Waupun, Oostburg, Barron, Aquinas, Xavier, Edgerton, Kettle Moraine Lutheran, and the Altoona Railroaders check in on number 10 in Division 3.
There's a lot of really good teams in Division 3.
There are. We're making hopefully some plans. It was talked about earlier today. We'll see if we can formalize it. Altoona's got a really fun basketball team to watch, including, I believe, a 6'3" center.
Wow.
Over in Altoona, yeah. So if you are in the Eau Claire area, go check out Altoona girls basketball. We'll show it live here on Zaleski Sports as soon as possible.
And a great team name.
The Rails.
The Rails.
The Rails. It's awesome. It's awesome. I'm big Rails fans for sure. Division 4, St. Mary Catholic, McDonald Central, Laconia. Those are all familiar names, right?
Yes, they are.
Kewanee, Neilsville, Fall Creek, Bangor, the Prairie School, Bondwell, Sheboygan Lutheran. That is a loaded top 5.
Yeah.
Let's go through that again, Dan.
Yeah.
Sorry. St. Mary Catholic, McDonald Central, Laconia, Kewanee, Neilsville. I don't know how you pick one out of that group.
Yeah, I know you'll talk Neilsville coming up a little bit when we talk about the holiday games, but yeah, they're good. All those teams, obviously, they're top 5 teams. They're really good. There's a lot of Division 5 teams that are happy that McDonald Central has jumped up this year.
Oh,
with
very happy. Yep. In Division 5, Assumption, Clear Lake, Turtle Lake, Lena, Webster, Cochrane, Fountain City, Argyle, Pecatonica, Albany, Monticello, Randolph, and Oakfield. Let's talk about Assumption here a little bit because their fans were going wild when these rankings first came out a couple weeks ago. Couldn't believe they were ranked, 4th maybe in the first one, and we kept telling them this is a season's book of business. We take into account all games played up to date, and through those first couple handfuls of games, that's where the math led those Assumption Royals into that 4 spot. We told people on this show every Wednesday, just wait. They're going to keep climbing this list as the games accumulate and the math continues to form and the formula continues to surround the math. They will continue to climb up that chart. I know when I looked at these rankings last, so it must have been 2 weeks ago, Assumption and Clear Lake were separated by hundreds of thousands.
Or something, yeah.
That is not the case anymore. The seed score for the Assumption Royals is 696, and for Clear Lake, 661. So they are separate and will continue to separate. Yeah. We believe here at Zaleski Sports that number between Assumption and the rest of the field could grow by as many as double digits by the end of the year.
Yeah, if I were a betting man, and I have been known,
I've witnessed
every now and then, pencil Assumption in as the number 1 seed in that section.
For sure. And if there was such a thing in Wisconsin high school basketball as the number 1 overall seed, they would clearly be that in their division.
Yeah, for sure.
But number 1 seed and likely on a one-way track to the Resch Center in Green Bay. And Assumption fans, nobody has ever doubted that.
No.
You all just jumped the gun right away.
Yeah.
Crying about your team. Settle down.
Yeah, the difficult
They're a great
thing
team.
for Assumption, they are a fantastic team.
Yeah.
A lot of those top teams are in their sectional. It is a very top-heavy sectional for them this year, and they're aware of it. Already scouting some of these teams, and vice versa, right?
Oh, yeah.
The winner of that sectional is the heavy favorite to win the gold ball this year.
I mean,
anything can happen, of course, but some sectionals are just tougher than others, and it's not on purpose. The WIA, again, draws those 4 divisions, the 4 districts, geographically, and sometimes those teams all kind of blend together. I don't know.
Yeah, and those draw rings, as they are, happen around May each year. And yeah, it's only based on geography, nothing else. There are no other factors. We talked about the hand of God in football, and now that is true, but not in basketball. These are drawn well ahead of time.
Yeah, and one other thing that is going to complicate this in future years is the success factor.
Yep.
Right, where if Assumption makes it to the championship game, they're Division 4 next year.
True.
And some of those other Division 5 teams will clap and be happy.
They're very happy. They'll be very happy. As a matter of fact, most of them, knowing we can't catch Assumption this year, go ahead and win the gold ball so we don't have to see your faces around here ever again.
And Assumption would be fine with that.
And they would be fine with that too. Go ahead and win the gold ball.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Let the reactions be what they are after. Okay, boys basketball. Division 1 goes like this: De Pere, Arrowhead, Stevens Point, Appleton North, Waunakee, Eau Claire Memorial, Marshfield, West Tosa Central, Sussex Hamilton, Keller Moraine. Some interesting teams in there. I saw the De Pere Redbirds play twice last week. Fantastic basketball team. They have won, I don't know if they played last night, but they last check they had won 39 straight games. The Redbirds, they are defending Division I state champions. Performance factor can't send them anywhere but in Division I. And I believe that is your gold ball team in 2024. They're a fantastic team.
I was going to ask you, when we talk about Concordia a little bit, who the best team that you saw was in De Pere.
That's it.
All right.
Yeah, they were the best team. There were maybe a team that I would say got the most exciting award, but that was the best basketball team that was there, and very, very well put together.
They've been
be
good
proud,
for several
Redbirds.
years
Be
now.
proud.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next week, Saturday, so that's the 13th. If you're in the Green Bay, De Pere, Outagamie County, Brown County area, please. Now, I think I was told it was sold out, so check ahead of time. Now that I'm saying all this.
Will Zaleski Sports be there?
No, but Wisconsin Lutheran, who I'm pretty sure I'm going to announce as the #1 team in Division II. Those two play each other, and it's going to be just a banger. Just a banger.
That sounds like a game that we talked about where they said no thank you.
They did. I won't disagree with their decision. I can understand how their rationale worked out there. So I will tell people, watch the game on YouTube. De Pere High School Athletics is the channel. Okay. Watch that game. They do some play-by-play. You can grade them against us, and maybe you'll have your own opinion if we should have been there or not. Okay.
Fair.
Yeah, really good basketball team.
One more thing
I don't care if they let us
up.
into their gym or not. Really good basketball team.
So one more thing about D1 is that the Smash Panthers are having a season.
What did I say they were? 3rd, 4th?
Something like that.
They are the number 3 ranked team in the state.
Yeah. Unbelievable what they're doing here in town.
Pretty good. Mm-hmm.
Because preseason, they were really under the radar. Mm-hmm. Around the program and around the area, we were all, me included, a little bit down on Valley Boys this year. Yeah. And I thought that Marshfield would be good. Spash would be good. But not like this. Spash is beating everybody.
Yeah, they handled Memorial at home before Santa Claus came. I remember talking to Coach John Kroll, who is really masterminding the whole thing, right? And I talked to him before game 1. They were on the bus the next morning or the next afternoon off to their first game, which happened to be a Fox Valley team, of which they had a few on their schedule early. Yeah. And I said, listen, man, I mean, I'm a Marshfield guy. Everybody knows that. And I said, please represent the Valley Conference. It has been such a struggle for Valley teams in the Fox Valley.
Yeah.
And he says, I got you. And he's beat all of them.
Yeah.
Beat all of them.
Still undefeated, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
beat them all, beating Big Rivers teams. Come one, come all, and you're all leaving with a loss when you play the Spanish Panthers.
Yeah, and I mean, we haven't looked at sectional pairings or anything, but if they have Fox Rivers or Big Rivers teams, like they might get to Madison this year.
They're on a roll right now.
Yeah.
In Division 2, as I said, Wisconsin Lutheran's the #1 team in the state, followed by Pewaukee, Fox Valley Lutheran, Burlington, Wausau East. How about that? Wausau East coming in at number 5 in Division 2.
Wow.
New Richmond, River Falls, Mosinee, Ashwaubenon, Stoughton. Now the boys are a week behind the girls as far as games played. So, but Dan and I, I'll make this official to you now. We'll be at Wausau East on Friday. We will show you Wausau East and Wisconsin Rapids boys basketball.
That's good because
Number 5 ranked team.
That's good because your son's trying to get me to go to.
It's not happening.
Go to Marathon.
We've ended that talk.
All right, I love it.
I will be on the play call. You'll be on the 1s and 2s, and we're gonna have a great time.
All right.
Great time with the folks at Wausau East. Coach Dan Garrett's got his team ranked number 5 in Division 2.
Yeah, I mentioned it on the program maybe 2 weeks ago. Dan Garrett said he's got a good squad this year, and he was really high on them. And anytime that a coach says that before the season, you take it for a grain of salt. You're like, yeah, I think you guys will be pretty good, but like we don't have the ins and outs of the team, right?
Sounds good, Coach.
Yeah, and nothing against Wausau East, but Wausau East has been down for several years in many sports, right?
It's been a while,
but he was right on. They have a really good squad this year.
Ranked number 5 as of January 3rd, 2024.
Yeah.
In Division 3, Lakeside Lutheran, St. Thomas More. Dan, that was the most exciting team that I watched play basketball in Mequon last week. Brookfield Academy, Lake Mills, Brillion, Kiel, Elk Mound, Dominican. Saw the Dominican Knights play last week. Milwaukee Academy of Science, and Xavier. That's your top 10 in Division 3.
Dominican's been good since I was a kid.
That's true, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's true. Again,
Whitefish Bay back then. Whitefish Bay Dominican.
Yep. In Division 4, Bondwell, Mineral Point, Marathon comes in at number 3. Kohler, Howards Grove, Sheboygan Lutheran, Auburndale at number 7. Kenosha St. Joe's, Darlington, and Horicon. And then in Division 5, rounding things out, a new number 1 in Division 5. Potosi comes in at number 1, followed by Columbus Catholic, North Crawford, Reedsville, Cashton, Eau Claire Emmanuel Lutheran, Abundant Life, Pacelli, Almond Bancroft, and Florence. Potosi. 6'5" Columbus Catholic, Dan 6'4", so razor thin there, razor thin.
And Columbus took a loss.
They did. They did. They improved
that
their strength
affected
of schedule, but they did suffer a loss.
The win percentage goes down a little bit, just a little. And I'll save it for when we talk about it, but there's a lot more than wins and losses when you go to some of these holiday tournaments.
Yeah.
Even if Columbus or Marathon went to Concordia and lost by 20 points against really good teams, you get a ton out of it.
I mentioned our opener in Milwaukee on Tuesday. That's in 6 days. St. Thomas More at Whitnall. St. Thomas More, number 2 team in Division 3. Whitnall currently showing in 21st in Division 2. So should be a good one.
Playing up.
Should be a good one.
Yeah.
Yep. We're very much looking forward to it. So there you go, girls and boys basketball rankings. If you want to hold them forever and ever, you need to be a VIP at ZaleskiSports.com. There you go.
Yeah.
Other thoughts on the rankings?
I think that there are very few teams that I would disagree with on there. I do know that in Division 4, Bondwell 1, Marathon 3, that's a potential sectional final right there.
Certainly is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, looking just really, we talked about January to start, long month, a long month of basketball, a long month of just being alive in Wisconsin.
Somehow it's the longest month of the year.
Yeah, of course.
It's not even close.
Of
honestly.
course.
There's no snow out here, so I can't complain too much.
But daylight hours are tough to come by. And
it is going to be the last week of January, and it's dark at 5 o'clock, and the wind chill's 34 below zero, and you're like, why am I doing this?
It's coming.
I know it is.
Yeah, that part is coming. I don't think we may have avoided some snow for the time being, but just because of astrologies and things, we're not going to be able to get away from the below zeros.
Every week that goes by without snow and cold is one less week we have of it.
True, though. We're in plus territory right now.
House money.
bonus territory. I want to go back to, just because Marshfield Tigers coming in number 7 on the boys' side. I was pleasantly surprised to see them there. Now there is a whole group, 7 through 9, they're really essentially the same score, 7 through 10. All essentially the same score. Right above Marshfield's Eau Claire Memorial, that game is looming between those two. So some things will get sorted out there. Memorial did lose to Stevens Point, as I mentioned before, Santa came.
It was a good game.
It was a really good game. I got to sit in the front row for that game.
All right.
How about that? Marshfield, they went down to Concordia in the 2023 Rick Majerus Wisconsin Basketball Yearbook Shootout. Came home with 2 wins, just like last year.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, last year's team obviously is a part of this year's team. All those kids that were freshmen and sophomore last year are juniors and sophomores and juniors this year. They beat Onalaska, and then they beat the number 4 ranked Ashwaubenon Jaguars. And I see when I went through these rankings that loss dropped Ashwaubenon out of the top 10, along with other factors, strength of schedule and such. But go down there, and Chris Fisher and his team get 2 quality wins in what, to this point, I mean, they were run out of their own gym by Nina a few weeks back. They do only have the 1 loss, but coming into that, I certainly didn't expect 2-0 out of that. I'm not sure if other Tigers fans believe. Well, one, do they believe me, and did they think that as well? Because I'm always wearing my Tiger stripes everywhere I go. But just 2 really quality wins for those Tigers.
Yeah, and the game is different when you're playing on a college floor, and some teams play a lot better, especially the faster teams, the teams that are more meticulous offensively, because you can spread the floor, which means the defense has to extend a little bit further. If you have quickness, it's a little bit easier to get around defenders and slip past because there's just so much more room to guard. But you'll see it, especially with fast teams. They love the big court. Love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's interesting. Marshfield, much more of a half-court team.
Yeah.
But defensively, just so tough. Brant Fries, I talked to Coach Fisher after the second game. Unfortunately, we had some audio issues that people didn't get to hear what we were talking about. But his guard and defensive specialist, Brant Fries, shut down each team's top scorer, essentially, in both of those games. And I know Coach Fisher, much to my chagrin, really leans on the defense. I like more points. He likes less points, as it turns out. But it's working for the Tigers this year. The defense is working. Just not against Nina.
It's one game.
It happens. It's one game. Last time you and I were doing this in this studio, so it wasn't 2 weeks ago, so it must have been 3 weeks ago. You asked me about, on the girls' side, about Marshfield on the girls' side, and they were like looming around 12 or 14. They had a tough week last week, and they slipped down to 22 in Division I, and really putting themselves right now in jeopardy of hosting a home playoff game. So we talked about January, and you kind of cement your playoff seed. Coach Varsho's Marshfield Tigers have work to do if they want to have a home playoff game this year. Okay.
So Marshfield's Division I.
Yep.
Who's on top of the valley? Spash?
Yeah. Well, and see that's an interesting question because there've been very few conference games played to this point.
Right.
It's likely still Marshfield's conference to win. I think Spash is a half or a whole step behind Marshfield, and everybody else is thereafter. They have yet to play, so they'll play 2 games. Those 2 games against Marshfield and Spash likely determine the conference.
The bad news in the rankings is that the bottom half of the valley, poor records this year. And when you play those teams twice yet, it's really hard to jump up ranking-wise, just the way that the math works, right? Because your strength of schedule counts almost double. It probably is double than your win-loss percentage.
Yeah, you hit it right on the head. And that's why I'm saying, I mean, after, somewhat of a poor performance last week against teams that, because when you talk about strength of schedule, not only do you pick up a win in that math against somebody you beat, but you also pick up their wins on the season as well. And when you're not able to defeat those teams, then when you're playing the teams in your conference that are only going to bring your math down, you lose the ability to make up ground.
Yeah.
That's the way the seed process works. And so it looks to me, Dan, I'm just saying, just stark reality here, something is going to drastically need for Marshfield's opponents to change, or they may be on the road for the playoffs. Yeah. That's what it is. It's just what it is.
22 is not bad yet.
Got to beat Spash twice for sure, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if they end at 22, they'll probably have a home playoff game.
Probably right on that 7-8 line, somewhere in the 7-8-9.
Yeah, it really depends.
Just danger territory. Danger, Tigers, danger.
Got to win.
Got to win. Can't have last week happen again.
You have to cheer for your other conference teams to win. That's
Maybe
the reason why the
yeah.
Marywood South teams are so strong, is because even the bottom teams of the Marywood Conference are 500 teams, generally speaking.
Yeah, yeah. So when your conference opponents play non-conference teams, you cheer for them to win.
Should.
Have to. Maybe even go to the game and get the pom-poms and get going. All right, we promised the folks upcoming schedule as we reach the halfway point of today's show, Zaleski Sports Show. Jason, Dan, we got some wrestling coming on tomorrow. That's what leads the way tomorrow.
I'm going to be talking wrestling today.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a big deal. A lot of Marywood teams are wrestling each other here. Auburndale, Stratford, Edgar Marathon on tap on our wrestling as we start the day tomorrow, Thursday at 6 p.m. in Stratford for wrestling. That's where that's taking place. Boys hockey. Boy, we went hockey crazy tomorrow, it turns out. Wapaka at Mosinee, Pacelli at DC Everest, Spash at Wisconsin Rapids, Menominee at Eau Claire Memorial, all boys hockey.
I wish the Marywood had some hockey.
I love it. They would have fun, wouldn't they?
Yeah, there's just not a lot of kids to go around, but
I don't know. You'd have to let them dual
co-ops
sports
or something.
And then that's a whole different deal there. Yeah. Hobbs Arena, get your internet squared away. We've been to a couple handfuls of hockey games over there. Twice your internet has went out. Get it figured out or we're done. Because we can't, I mean, I say that like it's a threat, but no, I mean, no internet, there's no broadcast.
You can't broadcast.
Yeah. It's not a personal decision.
Yeah.
Girls basketball, Menominee Indian at Amherst, Pacelli at St. Mary Catholic, Columbus Catholic is at Greenwood, Stratford at Auburndale, and then boys basketball, Auburndale, Pacelli. Dan, the Greenwood girls basketball team is on a tear. They scored 94 points last night.
And how many did they give up?
4 or 5 or something. Single digits. 94-5 is what I'll call it.
It's not the net rankings in college basketball. College basketball, if you beat a team by 21, it's worth a double what it is if you win by 19.
Not so in high school.
95-4, and Greenwood's been on the wrong end of some of those scores over the years.
Oh yeah.
So good for them, I guess. But
95-4. I'm looking it up. 95-4.
Nobody wants to even be associated with 95-4.
Coach Wietrich and his Greenwood Indians are just stomping on teams now.
Are they the second best team in the conference?
I don't know how you could say no. Yeah, second best team in the Eastern Clover Belt. Somebody told me earlier to look at the halftime score, so that's I'm going to start there. And we'll take a peek. I'm looking on YouTube, so this is
51-4.
Yeah. They let Faith Christian Academy score a whopping 1 point in the second half. 51-4 at halftime.
No, it was 95-4.
They didn't score again.
Yeah, they didn't score again.
Oh my gosh.
In the second half, when the bottom of the roster is playing.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, back to YouTube. So
it's 25-4 here.
All you do is you go to YouTube, and in this case, type in Greenwood Girls Basketball, and it's a search engine. YouTube is. We were talking about that earlier here today. Or you go to ZaleskiSports.com, click Greenwood Indians Girls Basketball, and you can launch any game that they've played that we've broadcast right from the website. Yeah, when did?
They're up 2-0. Or no, it's 9-2.
No.
12-4.
Settle down, Ross. Settle down.
It was 12-4.
It was 12-4?
Yeah.
Yep, sure. They scored their 4th point with 12.5 to play in the first, and that was it. The Indians shut it off from there. They said, no more points for you.
83-0 run.
None. 83-0 run. How about that? Yeah, I mean, their coaches, the other team, their coach is into it, though. I don't know what their nickname is. I've never, prior to last night, I had not heard of Faith Christian Academy. I do apologize. I've been told they're out of Wausau. Best of luck the rest of the season. But the Greenwood Indians just making noise. I mean, they have sparked all year Greenwood girls basketball.
Yeah.
For different reasons, but it's all been positive.
Not a big fan. If you know that you're a lot better than the other team, you get up by 20, take the press off. I'm just saying. I
see what you're saying here. Well, let's see what here. Okay, they did.
Yeah.
They did. Here we're into the second half. There's no press.
Yeah. I do know that Faith Christian Academy is looking for games.
Okay.
They are very publicly looking for games, and that's.
So you know about these folks in the Wausau area? Okay.
Yeah.
Good. I'm glad you do.
They are very public, they're trying to build a program,
Okay.
right?
All right.
I've been on the wrong side of 73 to 2 in JV basketball. Thank you, Coach Paltz, for
Who knew that?
playing your
Who knew
starters in the
Josh was
second
going to
half.
get called out today?
Yeah, me.
Okay. Every chance.
73 to 2. That's what good friends do.
And I mentioned Pacelli hosting Auburndale tomorrow. Prior to a couple weeks ago, that was slated to be a really big game. Pacelli without its key cog for the rest of the season. Though for Pacelli, Dan, thinking of that game, it's still a very important game for the Pacelli Cardinals. To get a win without your number one guy out there against Auburndale, a ranked team, would be huge, and some good momentum. It's a non-conference game, but some good momentum for the Cardinals as they head back into conference play because they've got Almond Bancroft looming around the corner.
Yeah, Pacelli and Almond are going to go head-to-head for that, not just conference title, but probably the bid to go to state.
Yeah,
I would say.
seems like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. And on Friday, take you through the events on Friday. First, girls basketball, Abbotsford at Stratford, Rib Lake at Assumption, DC Everest at Wausau West. Tomahawk is at Mosney, Menominee at Eau Claire Memorial. Those are girls basketball games on Friday. And then it's all you can eat boys basketball. Waiawega Fremont at Iola Scandinavia. Anago is at Wapaka. Kiel at Brillion. Let's make sure to come back to that game. Merrill is at Spash. Wisconsin Rapids at Wausau East. That's the game Dan and I will be at on Friday. Colby at Columbus Catholic. Abbotsford at Stratford. Rib Lake at Assumption. And DC Everest is at Wausau West. Why, Dan, do we bring up Brillion and Kiel? Well, we've not had those boys basketball teams on our network before.
Those are good teams, though.
Those are great teams. Gunnar Sippert will be on the call along with Joel Roush on production on Friday from Brillion. Undefeated conference matchup between Brillion and Kiel.
Yeah.
That's going to be a game.
Yeah.
Game I wish I was at, but we've got other commitments.
We're going to Wausau East instead.
We are, which will be just as fun, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But how about that, right? Pick up January, and we're adding a little something in the Fox Valley.
I like it.
Adding a little something.
It's a lot closer to my house. I know that.
For Wausau East,
Brilliant.
yeah, which is music to your ears, no doubt about it. On Saturday, Frederick at Pacelli boys hockey. And then for Marshfield, it's a doubleheader. I will be on the call on both games Saturday, 2:30 and 6. Boys basketball, Brookfield Central in Marshfield. Girls basketball, Kimberly in Marshfield. So I mentioned the Tigers. Got to get
that would be a big one.
Got to get back. Got to get it back quickly. And that is that's their only game this week. So you got one chance this week to make up for some of the issues from last week. I mentioned it, so I might as well say it. Hudson 61, Marshfield 42, Oshkosh West 40, Marshfield 23. Girls basketball. So they post-Christmas lull, perhaps, for the Tigers.
Yeah, I don't like any game that's 40 to 23.
23.
Yeah.
23 is not enough.
Nope.
Not enough. And then next week for Marshfield, it's Stevens Point on the 9th, but we'll get to that next week. Whew, there we go. So let's see. We promised the folks rankings. We promised a recap from last week. I've kind of dabbled in that. We talked about the schedule. What else, Dan, from last week did you see? I know you got to observe some games from home last week. What did you see?
Yeah, so some of the holiday tournament stuff, really interesting. Let's start in Auburndale.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah. A classic was in Auburndale last week. An
yeah.
absolute classic.
Yeah, so Auburndale holiday tournament, the girls didn't have a tournament per se because they had Mosney drop out because somebody else dropped out, a late edition. So Auburndale got to play Neilsville.
Yep.
Auburndale came in undefeated. This is Auburndale girls.
Yep.
They came in undefeated. Neilsville really took it to them. Neilsville had the loss against
The McDonald
early on.
Yep.
They have righted the ship for what it's worth. If you call it righting a ship against a top 2 team in Division 4.
Right.
And they beat Auburndale by 30 something.
Yeah, 50. I've got it up here, Dan. 59-25. 34.
Yeah. Yep.
Just shy of a running clock situation there.
Yep. And then they play Lena the next
Auburndale
day.
did.
Yep. And Lena beat them by a dozen or whatever.
52-41.
Yeah. Both really good teams. Again, Auburndale, the girls, extremely young. I saw them at Marathon before the break. 5 freshmen, 3 sophomores, and a senior playing.
Yeah, Auburndale has lost 3 in a row now, Dan. They also lost last night at Bondwell, 55-36.
Yeah. Second place in the Merriwood South.
Yeah.
There are whispers in the background that the Merriwood South is the Merriwood girls.
Down year, perhaps. Eagles have a chance to get right, though, on Friday as they travel, or they host Stratford girls.
Yep,
So,
okay.
chance for the Eagles
That should be a good game.
get right.
It should be a good game.
Conference game, big one.
The girls are turning over now, so we're getting the second time through.
Yep.
The boys' side had the finish of the year on Zaleski Sports, I would say.
Wow. Quadruple overtime.
Yeah.
Wow.
Quadruple overtime. Not a real high-scoring game for quadruple overtime.
They were both in the 70s.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you had an extra 20 minutes to play.
Yeah. I turned it on because I wanted to see what the score was, and there was 20 seconds left in the 4th overtime, and I thought it was a typo, right?
Yeah.
And Steve Mapes is on the call, and he's hoarse at this point, right?
Yeah, he's been going at it. It was probably not his first game of the day either.
No, because he had Lena and he had the consolation game.
Yeah,
probably,
Augusta probably. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's kind of laughing about it because this game's been going on for so long. And Auburndale's up by 2, and Neillsville has the ball, and Neillsville was not going to shoot a 2-pointer. They just weren't. like they don't want to play a 5th overtime. Nobody does.
Yeah.
Nobody in the gym wants to see a 5th overtime.
Yeah.
So one of the kids, I don't remember what his name was, hits a 3 from top of the key with the guy kind of in his face. And check it out on Zaleski Sports on the YouTube. It's a fantastic finish.
Yep.
Hits a 3 with 4 or 5 seconds left, and the place goes absolutely bananas. Auburndale calls
You think
a
it's
timeout.
over, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Auburndale calls a timeout. I think there was 4 seconds. Maybe got corrected to 5. It's really hard to say because...
Cam Kennedy hit the 3-pointer with a few seconds left for Neillsville.
Yeah. And who knows what the tenths of seconds are. You know, the producers doing their best. They're not tracking tenths of seconds, whatever.
Yeah.
So coming out of the timeout, Neillsville lets Auburndale get down the court fast, right?
Looked like it.
Yeah. And it's on the near side, and they got it to Evan Scholl, and he hit a turnaround 3 and just buried it at the buzzer.
Yeah, 22-footer.
Yeah, just unbelievable. And there are a few games like really get me screaming in high school basketball, right?
Okay, from your couch, albeit. Think about that. Not even in the gym.
Yeah, I wasn't in the gym. I wasn't calling the game. I was watching it literally on my sofa, in my recliner.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, "What's going on?" And I was like Evan Scholl from Auburn is in a 3 to win it, quadruple overtime, and she's just like, "What?" Like, whatever.
Yeah. By the way, she was asking only as a courtesy. She really didn't want to know.
She really didn't care. But like, what a moment, right?
It was awesome. Awesome high school basketball game.
Yeah, and Auburndale, are they undefeated still?
Well, I'll check that while you continue on with your
I think they have one
breakdown.
loss. I don't remember who it was.
Well, they lost to Columbus Catholic.
Columbus, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
But Tuesday night, Marathon comes to town.
Next week, January 9th.
Tuesday, yeah.
January 9th, yeah. Yeah, so the Eagles will, on the boys' side, have to take that energy. I mentioned that Pacelli game that we'll have live tomorrow night. Our only boys' game of the night tomorrow, boys' basketball game. But should be a doozy there. All right, and then a smattering of games over in Eau Claire. First year for the Eau Claire Memorial Holiday Shootout, sponsored by Spectrum Insurance. A big thanks to the folks at Spectrum for making sure you all got to watch that 6-game event live and free. And again, games in archive. If you missed a game, I know Eau Claire North and DC Everest girls played as an example. Just type that into YouTube and the game just pops right up. But great event over there. Not a tournament per se, just come in and play some hoops and have a good time. I know they're looking for that tournament to grow, and we are going to help them with that.
What if you had 2 trophies that you gave out that had a big Z on the top?
I mean, it sounds cool.
That sounds
cool.
doesn't
Like
it?
boys MVP, girls MVP, the ZVP. I don't know. We'll figure it out, though. We'll figure it out. Well, they want to grow that thing, and we certainly want to help them.
You know what? Money can fix anything.
Yeah, and it usually falls into place, too. If you work hard enough at it, it usually falls into place. And
Maybe
then,
the Zaleski Sports invite.
something. We'll do something.
Yeah.
Guarantee it. Then again, we had a few boys-girls doubleheaders during that time. And again, the big one was down in Mequon at Concordia, the Majerus WBY shootout. 27 games played over the course of 3 days.
Just sick of basketball.
I was worn out from basketball when I left the gym on Friday night. I left around 10 o'clock at night. We had an overtime game to end it down there. So at the same time, quadruple overtime was going on in Auburndale. We had a single overtime down in Mequon. And I suppose now that was our 13th game. We did half the games in the event. So if you're going to do 13, you might as well end it with an overtime.
Yeah.
May as well. And we had 2 shots at a buzzer beater. And you know what's really fascinating to me, Dan, here, so my biggest takeaway from that tournament is I was watching some of these other games, and I had pictures sent of the very sparsely populated gym that we were not allowed in. And I looked down in front of me, and there were thousands of people in the gym in Concordia. And coming out of the timeout at the end of regulation, I don't even remember who they were playing. That's not even the point of it. The team with the ball is coming out of the timeout. We got a chance for a buzzer beater. In unison, the entire 3,000 human beings in the gym stand as one, cheering for, most of them they were just cheering for basketball. They weren't there, they're there just for good basketball like we were. Now some are cheering for each team, but the most of the gym is just there for basketball. And it was an outstanding moment. Unfortunately, we didn't get a buzzer beater out of it.
They're cheering for the moment.
And it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, a completely jam-packed gym, full, and somehow, some way us being there didn't limit their ticket sales.
Yeah, crazy.
It's the weirdest thing, man. We had thousands of people in that gym. It was standing room only.
Yeah.
And we were there broadcasting. People like you were watching at home weren't in the gym, and yet they sold it out. Unbelievable.
Weird.
Unbelievable. Probably not because we were helping promote their tournament. Probably not that at all.
That's a big gym, too.
Huge gym.
Like 3,000 might be underselling it.
Yeah, and people were standing. Greg Gard and Shaka Smart and others all in the gym crowding around to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It was amazing. So that was my big takeaway from Mequon. Speaking of big takeaways, Dan, the big moment is here. It is time for this show's Merriwood Minute, sponsored by Mid-State Technical College. Dan Ross, take it away.
Well, okay, here we go. You should let me know.
I laid it on you, I know. I looked at the time, and we've got 10 minutes, so here we go.
Okay. Welcome to this week's Merriwood Minute, brought to you by Mid-State Technical College. Remember when we had a banner once and it fell?
We did. Well, that's because it doesn't belong here. It wanted to go to its home, and it did go to its home.
The holidays are behind us.
Okay.
Everyone is back to work, back to school, back to the gym, which can only mean one thing. Beginning of the January basketball grind. 2 to 3 games a week. Mostly grinded out conference games. Very little practice. Trying to get better every day. Standings are coming into shape and a few weeks away from us being able to talk playoffs.
Yeah.
Girls basketball, holiday tournaments. The Merriwood South went 1-7. The Merriwood North
That's a kick in the teeth.
went 1-2. Yeah.
1-7.
Well, Assumption didn't play in one.
Yeah.
That would have helped it. But
1-7. Not good.
all against non-conference teams. Auburndale, super young team, full of freshmen, couple sophomores. Maya Katzenberger
Okay.
will be a star. She's going to be the Merriwood Conference Player of the Year, her junior, maybe even senior year. She's really good.
Okay.
So if you get a chance to see Auburndale, go. She's their post player. She's a freshman. She's raw. She's good.
Lots of games coming up. Go watch.
Yeah, absolutely. But they ran into two good teams, losing to Neilsville, losing to Nina, and then losing to Bonduel. Undefeated no more. Is this the youngest the conference has been in years? Up and down, everybody has youth on all the teams. Assumption and Phillips look to be heavy favorites. Maybe Athens, if Lavica comes back. I have no idea if she's going to.
Yeah, or the others really get going.
Yeah.
All right, go Blue Jays, go.
Yeah. You are a big fan of the Blue Jays.
I like the Blue Jays. I like the mascot the best.
I like the colors.
Yeah, colors are good.
I
Blue
really
is
like
always
their
good.
gym. I
Blue
like
is
their
always
gym.
good. Yeah.
We're both wearing blue jackets today. But there's a huge gap between these teams and the rest of the conference.
Yeah, for sure.
So power rankings.
Okay.
You know what I did? I took the rankings.
Oh, I thought you were just going to pull them out of a hat. No. Okay.
And the number 9 team is the Assumption Girls. No. Number 5, Athens,
Okay.
7-6.
This is girls basketball.
Girls basketball.
Yep. Okay.
Number 4, Abbotsford,
Falcons. All right.
6-5. Number 3, Auburndale, 7-3.
Okay.
Number 2, Phillips, 8-2.
Okay.
Number 1, the Assumption Royals, 10-0.
What does it say that 3 of the 5 are birds? Does that say anything?
Luck,
Okay.
just luck.
All right. Randomness.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Royals a lion, right?
I think so. That's what they.
Yeah.
That's what they have there. A lion. Lion's pretty good.
You need to. So
I love mascots.
I
just
know
love mascots.
we need to talk about the Marywood about having more mascots. Newman has a mascot.
Yep. Yep. Auburndale does.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
We interviewed the Auburndale. mascot
Edgar does
yesterday.
sometimes. Stratford does. But Marathon, no mascot. Unless Coach Jacobson and his new Pokemon. We'll talk about that maybe.
Okay.
But okay. Anyway.
All right, boys basketball.
Boys.
Marathon continues to impress. 2 huge wins at Concordia. Tested in both games. Defeated Kettle Moraine Lutheran by 11.
Yep.
Came back to defeat Prairie School by 3. They were down in that game.
Yeah, Prairie School's got a really good player. His name escapes me. He's one of the top recruits in the state, and it was a really good contest for the Marathon Red Warrens.
Yeah, the Red Warrens. Yeah. Auburndale had the finish of the season. We already spoiled this a little bit.
Sorry.
Evan Scholl, 3 at the buzzer
Yeah.
to avoid being upset by Neilsville. I would call that an upset if Neilsville.
It would have been. It would have been. And Evan Scholl's having a nice season, so congrats, young man. Keep it up.
Yeah. Check out the last 7 seconds of that game on Zaleski Sports.
Quadruple overtime.
You won't regret your time.
No, what time well spent.
Marathon at Auburndale, Tuesday, collision course. For all the marbles that can happen in the first go-around in the conference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are marbles that are at stake. Because if it goes, no matter who wins and who loses, if the rest of the conference season goes like we think it will, the best the loser can do is tie for conference.
Yeah. The teams are 19-1 combined.
It's going to be quite a Donnybrook.
It's going to be loud
Yeah.
in Auburndale.
Good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I know you're going to be there. So that's good.
Am I? Okay, good.
We're in good hands with you there. Yep.
Power rankings.
Okay.
Number 5, Wildcats of Edgar.
Okay.
7-2.
Yeah, they are on our state rankings. Be a Zaleski Sports VIP. You can see for yourself. Yeah. They're climbing.
So the number 5 boys team is 7-2. The number 5 girls team was 7-6. Right. So just a little bit. It's not quite apples to apples, I would say. Number 4, Rib Lake, 7-2.
Having a nice season there in Taylor County, aren't
The
they?
Redmen.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3, Stratford Tigers, 7-3.
Okay. All right.
Of course, they've lost to Auburndale in Marathon. Doesn't help. Number 2, Auburndale,
Okay.
9-1.
Yep.
And number 1,
Let me guess. No, go ahead. Tell me.
Marathon Red Raiders, 10-0.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. How about some grappling?
We're going to have it tomorrow live on Zaleski Sports.
So before
Single leg takedowns, double leg takedowns, escapes, Nelsons, half and fulls.
Before I get
Probably.
into this a little bit, because I'm going to be reading kids' names, and you know how that
Okay,
goes.
yeah, all right.
It is so hard to find this stuff, right? To find rankings and results of wrestling,
Yeah.
gymnastics, hockey's not really a thing, swimming. Like,
Yeah.
they're just, if you send them in,
Yeah.
we will read off results. We will talk about your teams if you give us the opportunity to do so. With sports, we get a lot of information from there.
Yes.
Right? It's
Thank
a
you
wealth
with
of
sports.net.
information.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. But it doesn't help us with these other sports. And so,
Yeah, and Dan's right. We'll talk about your kids, your players, your neighbors,
Yeah.
your students, your classmates. It doesn't have to be coach. Teammate can send in the results. It can be anybody. And Dan's right. We'll talk about you here. And we also help celebrate your accomplishments on social media. So Facebook and X and Instagram, and people love it. And so when you see those things out there, it's only because somebody on that team felt that they should share that information with us. And then we share it with all of you.
yeah, it's so hard for us to find results and rankings and everything else.
Yeah.
So Stratford is ranked number 6 in Division 3.
Okay.
It actually feels like it's down because Stratford is the wrestling center of Wisconsin.
Historically, yeah.
Yeah. But nothing to sneeze at. Number 6 ranking in
Pretty
Division
good.
3.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Blake Underwood from
Okay.
marathon. He's number 2 in the state at 106. And these weight classes don't take into account division.
Okay.
All right. I should have put what school these kids are from.
That's all right. List them off.
All right. Derek Goddard, number 9 at 113. Colton Weiler, number 3 at 144. Tanner Halapka, number 10 at 165.
Okay.
And Carter Luke, number 7 at 175. I'm guessing that they're all football players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some familiar names there.
Yeah. As for swimming, hockey, gymnastics, send in some stories. We'll read them before the season's over, especially when we get into the tournament. Mm-hmm. If we have kids at the state tournament, let us know. It's tough. It's tough for us. Speaking of over, that's this week's Marywood Minute.
Very good job. Very good. Just to continue on what Dan is saying about the results and the other reason you see so many girls and boys basketball results on this show and on our social media is because those coaches send it in. We actually get so many basketball results, we can't publish them all. We get so many. So when you send in a swimming or a wrestling, it stands out from all those basketball scores coming in. We take note of that. And I guarantee you 90% of what we get from those other sports get published. And it's the basketball stuff that doesn't because you get enough of it as it is. So,
yeah.
But
98% of what we do is basketball now because that's the results we get.
Yeah, right. Because the information is coming to us, and that doesn't leave us in a spot where we need to go look it up. And so it's easy come, easy go.
Yeah.
In that way, and people do like the basketball. So, but if you like the other sports, let us know. We'll be happy to entertain. And when you see the swimming and the wrestling and those things on social media, that's how it happened. Somebody sent it to us. We did not go look it up.
No. I had to look this up.
All right.
It took a long time. It was like 10 minutes.
Let's end with this, Dan. I know that's what we're going to end with.
Right.
First, though, somewhat related, but before Pokemon, we found out last night that the Garantula was in Tokyo destroying buildings.
It's true.
A new legend, or an addition to the legend, was born. He's no longer attacking women and children. Now he's attacking the buildings in Tokyo, for crying out loud. How does Grant feel about that?
Yeah, I should have asked him after the game. Well, he wouldn't have known it by then, but I'm sure
he knows now.
I'm sure he knows now.
Yeah.
He had a dunk last night,
yeah.
and there were probably 3 or 4 times during the game. Marathon pushed last night by Colby in the first half.
Yeah.
Colby sat in his zone. Truthers not on the floor. Don't know what's going on there.
Okay, not in the game last night.
He was not in the game. Right. He was in his warm-ups on the bench.
I see. Come back soon, kid.
Yeah. And Marathon struggled with the zone for the first half, and they ended up winning by 30, whatever it was.
Yeah.
But there were a couple times in the second half where Grant Warren wanted to dunk the ball. He dunks 2-3 times a game, right? And this one in particular, he took a dribble. A guy kind of went to undercut him, and he dribbled a quick left around him, and then went up with 2 hands and kind of swung on the rim a little bit.
He's very athletic.
Very athletic for somebody who's 6'10", right? And I may have mentioned that someone to call the authorities because the Garantula is stomping buildings in downtown Tokyo, like Godzilla.
I was doing something else at the time. I had quite a night last night, but we turned that on just at that moment. And I'm like, whoa! Whoa! Because I was at a game last night, but I wasn't. I'm not going to get into that story. It's a whole different thing. Yeah, good. And then, 2 episodes ago, I'm pretty sure it was 2, maybe it was the last Marathon Basketball All Access. By the way, Trevor is in Marathon now filming the next episode coming up, which I believe comes out on Monday. We had an all-boys episode last time. It's an all-girls episode coming up.
The girls won last night.
Girls beat Iola last night, and they take on Prentice on Friday. And there's also some special events going on Friday for the girls. That'll be, we'll detail that in the All Access show. Anyway, so a couple shows ago, Coach Jacobson, the boys coach for Marathon, was in the locker room. I'm not even sure how it all started, but he was eventually talking about Pokemon cards and Pokemon players and having energy. Yeah. His son, I guess, told him maybe about the Pokemon, and certain cards have certain skills, and the ones that have energy are the ones that Coach Jacobson likes the most.
Yeah.
We theorized he knew nothing about Pokemon, though, that he was just repeating something that his 10-year-old kid or however old little Jacobson is there said. So you, being a Pokemon knower, I'm not maybe expert. You can admit that if you want to, but you know things about Pokemon.
Yeah.
Had some cards and had a special moment with Coach Jacobson after the game last night with Pokemon.
Yeah, so I pulled 4 out of my big box of Pokemon cards that we've had for 10 years, I would say.
Yeah.
Some cards that are actually worth money we have, right? Too lazy. I mean, nothing that's extravagant, right?
Yeah.
And I pulled 4 out because I was going to ask Coach after the game which was his favorite Pokemon.
Yeah.
And
we knew he would not know that answer.
No.
Yeah.
And I had 4. And I said, Coach, I have a question about Pokemon. And he
chuckled.
Right away, he's like, oh, I know where this is going.
Yeah.
And I brought his son onto the interview.
Saw it, yep.
Right.
Standing between you.
Yeah. Which took a little bit of wrangling beforehand, because I wasn't even sure if his son was going to be at the game. He usually is, but you never know.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, little kid.
He loves the basketball guys. And I handed it to him, and he looked through them, and he asked his son, what if this number's energy? And he said, yeah. And he picked the biggest energy one, which was Tauros, a bull.
Coach Jacobson loves energy.
Yeah. And then I brought a box of all my Pokemon cards and gave them to his son.
Yeah, his son looked really happy for that.
Yeah. And honestly, it's not something that myself or my wife want recognition for.
Yeah.
Those cards should bring joy to people.
Yeah.
Right? And I saw the look on his face, and he was so extremely happy, and that was worth more than anything that happened to me or my family this entire Christmas.
Yeah, because for you, they were just sitting in a box.
They were in a box.
They were doing nothing in a box,
Nothing.
right? For this kid, he's going to pour through them for weeks to come.
Yeah. And
months, maybe.
Yeah, and Coach Jacobson reached out to me today and thanked me again, and Coach is a class act.
Yeah, for sure.
I am glad that we were able to do something nice in that way.
So Coach is all about energy.
Yeah.
And in the coming days, our very talented graphic artist staff here is going to develop a Coach Adam Jacobson Pokemon.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
We're looking forward to it. And of course, it's going to be all about energy.
Yeah.
There you go. And then you were so excited about the whole event, so you thought maybe it would be best if you skipped the player interview.
Yeah.
I mean, you get wrapped up in these things.
We got them at the end.
Yeah.
We got them. And I felt bad because I've already hit all of the starting 5, right? So actually got to interview Andrew Glennon last night, who's usually the 6th man, but he started last night and hit 4 threes.
We had some fun with Andrew. Game 1, his lenses had come loose, and we were having a good bit of fun with him on the broadcast.
Yeah, and now he wears goggles, so
good
he doesn't have
move.
an issue with
Good
it.
move.
Yeah.
Good move. A little more secure that way.
Yeah.
You find out. Sometimes you don't know until your lens is skating down the floor in the basketball gym, and you're like, oh man, that would be bad if somebody stepped on that lens. So now you get it figured out. Yeah. All right, listen, it's been a great show. Talked about a lot today. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Broadcast schedule on ZaleskiSports.com. You can check it out anytime. If you want to see your whole team's upcoming season, we have those schedules on the website as well, along with all kinds of other information. We talked to folks today about YouTube. You can search past games on YouTube and watch the game again. Games like Dan's marathon game last night, those games in Concordia last week, in Eau Claire, wherever they are, wherever they may be. They're all out there for your viewing pleasure. Dan, sign us off. I'm done talking.
Yeah, it was a good show. Go out, support your teams. If you can't get there, obviously the staff is doing their best to go out in the weather and broadcast it to everybody. If we have all been athletes before, right? Yeah. Those 4 years go so incredibly fast. At the time, they don't go fast, right? Yeah. School and everything else, but we do have kids that are in their senior year that if you don't get to see them now, you will never be able to see them. So go out, cheer on your team.
Go sports.
Sports.